Ladies, that looked like so much fun. You know, it's always so incredible to be reminded that art isn't just about the paintings up on the wall, that they do come and they are celebrated in so many different forms. And you guys got to check out cool sculptures. I'm so jealous.
Yes, absolutely. I always want to try and educate people that art is beyond just a painting or a drawing. There is ceramics, there's sculptures within sculptures. You've got marble sculptures, you've got bronze sculptures, you've got fiberglass. The world in educating here is so endless. And I'm so excited that I get to actually share all this knowledge.
What was the gap that you noticed in the market that inspired you to get into the business that you're in?
Around 2016, it was the time that I saw around the world that art was starting to take a very keen and open interest. It was no longer something that seemed to be far-fetched and far out there and non-inclusive, whether you looked at it from a global scale or space or even a local South African space. A lot more people were gaining access to galleries and to artists. And so that was one of the other reasons that propelled me to get into this framing business that focused on conservation framing and art restoration. And I just found that in the entire value chain of this industry, it was quite important to educate people about framing and about art.
When you do look at art advisory, I mean, what are some of those key services that you provide?
When you look into advisory, you do have the people that I would like to call as art enthusiasts, and then you have the more seasoned art collectors, and then you have somebody that's in between that is moving past the enthusiast interest side, wants to start investing in art, but isn't quite informed in navigating the space like a seasoned art collector. So I sort of fit in that very unique and niche gap to help individuals and even corporate companies to navigate how they can identify emerging artists, how can we predict the trends on a global scale into the local business of art as well, in terms of whether the artist is going to be valuable one day. And of course, it's not always about the value. You are allowed as an individual to buy art because you love it and it speaks to you. And I'm able to then hybrid between the two and take my clients on a journey in being able to sort of discern and choose when an art piece becomes an investment piece and when an art piece becomes a talking point because it lives on the walls, on your homes, and that's exactly what tells stories.
It's no secret that Africa is taking the world by storm in so many different facets. How important is it, in your view, for African artists to enter the global stage and to preserve our cultural heritage?
I think that now is the time for this, and I think going back to my opportunity of coming into the business of art, I really caught it at the very beginning of that interest of even Black African art and in the diaspora from South Africa, the continent, in the States and Europe. We've seen the shift statistically, even in the auction houses where a lot of them are acknowledging that African artists are not just crafts people from the side of the road. They actually do have value, and the demand is growing quite big globally. And I think that even as an art advisor, what's important now is to also make sure that the education and the acquisition of art pieces, whether it's individuals, whether it's institutions, the museums, they stay also in the continent. The next African Picasso is already amongst us. And so we need to be able to start nurturing and making sure that that foundation is solid so that history, the cultural history and the narratives stay on the continent with us.
Absolutely powerful. Well, thank you so much for joining this conversation with us, Monalisa Molefe. We wish you the very best in your future artistic endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
After the break, we get a front row seat to artist Richard Scott's wedding.